Hello, today we'll be diving into 5 key economic questions that explore taxation, trade, public health, and their impact on our economy. So let's begin this swift yet insightful journey. Thank you for your attention. Let's start with our graph for this question. Here we have the legend to help us to understand the elements on our graph. P1 represents market price and Q1 is the free market allocation. Consumer surplus CS is calculated as P2 minus P1 times Q1 divided by 2 and producer surplus PS as P1 minus P3 times Q1 divided by 2. So P5, which is price the buyers pay, and P4, which is the price seller receive. So notice that with the introduction of consumption tax, we can see changes in the graph. So CS with tax is now calculated as P2 minus P5 times Q2 divided by 2, and PS with tax as P4 minus P3 times Q2 divided by 2. However, the most crucial concept here is the deadweight loss, DWL, which is represented as P5 minus P4 times Q1 minus Q2 divided by 2. So DWL signifies the efficiency loss due to the tax as the market allocation moves from Q1 to Q2. So despite this loss, the government earns tax revenue, which is equal to P5 minus P4 times Q2. Q2, which is our inefficient market allocation, highlights the impact of the tax. In summary, we observe that CS with tax is smaller than CS, indicating that consumers are worse off after the tax. Similarly, PS with tax is smaller than PS, indicating that producers are also worse off. The presence of a deadweight loss signifies the inefficiency caused by the tax. However, it is also important to note that the government earns tax revenue as a result of imposing consumption taxes. So while consumers and producers may bear some burdens, the government gains revenue. Next, let's talk about the effects of import tariffs using a demand and supply diagram. P1 represents the domestic market price and Q1 is the efficient domestic allocation. Consumer surplus CS is calculated as P2 minus P1 times Q1 divided by 2 and producer surplus PS as P1 minus P3 times Q1 divided by 2. With free trade at price, which is represented by PW, we observe that consumers are better off and domestic producers face a lower surplus, which is represented as PS with trade equals to PW minus P3 times Q2 divided by 2. Now let's introduce a tariff which is denoted as PT. Under the tariff, domestic market price PST rises, leading to a decrease in quantity demanded by domestic consumers at Q3 and an increase in quantity supplied by domestic producers, which is at Q2. Consumer surplus with the tariff CST is smaller than the CS with free trade, indicating that consumers are worse off. Producer surplus with tariff PST is larger than the PS with free trade, benefiting domestic producers. However, deadweight loss is calculated as PT minus PW times Q4 minus Q2 divided by 2 plus PT minus PW times Q3 minus Q5 divided by 2. This deadweight loss represents the inefficiency introduced by the tariff as it disrupts the balance between supply and demand. Foreign producers who export to the market are negatively impacted by tariff as they import less. On the other hand, the government gains tariff revenue, which is equals to PT minus PW times Q5 minus Q4. In summary, consumers are worse off with tariff, domestic producers benefit, foreign producers are worse off, and the government gains tariff revenue. However, the society incurs a loss as represented by the deadweight loss, triangle BDE plus triangle FGC. In this analysis, we will start off with the macroeconomic equilibrium, which is initially at point A. At this point, our economy operates at full employment level, which is at Y1 star, and the price level is at P1. So now let's introduce the impact of consumption taxes. As consumption taxes are imposed, Disposable income falls for households. In response to reducing disposable income, consumers will cut back on their spending and consume less goods and services in the short run. Hence, this shifts AD1 to the left to AD2, which represents a decrease in aggregate demand. Consequently, the macroeconomic equilibrium moves from point A to point B. So this transition results in a recession as output falls from Y1 star to Y2 and unemployment rates rises. However, one important effect of the consumption tax is that it exerts downward pressure on the price level. During the recession, the price level falls from P1 to P2. To summarize, the recession leads to a decline in output from Y1 star to Y2, with, with employment rate being pro-cyclical and unemployment rate becoming anti-cyclical. Next, we will explore whether taxes aimed at improving people's health could yield any long-term benefits for our economy. To understand these, we will apply the sticky wage model and explore how such taxes influence our economy. In this model, wages remain relatively inflexible in the short run. It takes time for workers to negotiate for higher wages. As wages rise due to negotiations, the cost of production for firms also increase, shifting the short-run aggregate supply SRAS to the left from SRAS1 to SRAS2. However, this is only part of the story. Workers might negotiate for higher wages as a response to the permanent tax burden on their consumption. In the long run, as workers secure higher wages, the cost of production for firms further increases, shifting the long-run aggregate supply LRAS to the left from LRAS1 to LRAS2. The consequence of these shifts is evident in the macro equilibrium. In the long run, our economy moves from point B to C. Output remains constant at half, while the price level increases from P2 to P3. So what does this mean for the potential long-term benefits of health-improving taxes? So in conclusion, there are no long-term potential benefits as output falls while the price level is higher. Finally, let's explore how we can employ empirical econometric modeling, specifically using DAGs to evaluate the consequences of a fat tax on both health and economic growth. Here are the key components of our analyses. Health. We consider health as a fundamental variable. Improved health can lead to enhanced economic growth. Economic growth is the ultimate outcome we want to access as it is impacted by health and potential tax policies. Fact tax, our independent variable, representing the tax aimed at promoting healthier choices. DAGs are powerful tools for modeling causal relationships in complex systems. They can help us identify the directions of causality and potential confounding factors. An economic regression model was used as shown in the slide to estimate the effects. Beta 1 quantifies how changes in health impact economic growth, while Beta 2 helps us understand the fat tax impact on both health and economic growth. After estimating our model, we can quantitatively assess the impact of a fat tax on health and its subsequent consequences on economic growth. These insights are valuable for policymakers as they inform the design and implementation of effective health-related tax policies.